Riverdale reinvents Archie with a Twin Peaks twist, and we dare you not to love it. When Luke Perry was growing up in small-town Ohio, sharing a tiny bedroom in a trailer with his brother, he took sanctuary with a stack of comic books piled high in his closet. He'd pull issues from his stash and read them diligently by flashlight, and amid the many superheroes and sci-fi epics there was another favorite, a staple of the medium since debuting in 1941, the quaint, relatable, all-American adventures of teenager Archie Andrews and his high school pals, rivals and crushes, set in the idyllic town of Riverdale, USA. Today, Perry, no stranger to series centered around iconic locales, thanks to his stint on Beverly Hills 90210, is among the cast of Riverdale, the CW's ambitious and decidedly edgier take on the 75-year-old comic book series. Veering away from the wholesome vibe that many associate with classic Archie, the drama adds a Twin Peaks-inspired aura of mystery, danger, and controversy to the small-town proceedings. For instance, in the pilot episode, our red-headed, freckle-faced hero, played by New Zealander KJAPA, indulges in a steamy backseat tryst with his teacher Miss Grundy, reimagined from the comic's silver-haired spinster into the much younger, more curvaceous form of actress Sarah Havel. Not only that the sight of their forbidden dalliance soon puts them in uncomfortable proximity to the season's unfolding murder mystery. I was the biggest skeptic, Perry admits to Mashable, of the more adult take on the Archie gang. I said, I'm the guy you've got to convince. I grew up reading Archie, I am that guy. So show me what is different about this. And they did. They are the production team led by writer-producer Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, an accomplished playwright and veteran scripter of popular television series including Glee and Big Love, who's also enjoyed an acclaimed second career in the comic book industry. A stint at Marvel Comics writing top-tier characters including the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man ultimately led Aguirre Sacasa to an opportunity to write the 2013 comic book miniseries Afterlife with Archie. The endeavor represented a bold step for publisher Archie Comics, in which the company combined their longtime characters with a zombie apocalypse narrative drawn by emerging fan favorite artist Franco Francavilla. It is a 5-year-old Roberto's dream come true, Aguirre Sacasa tells Mashable. I've always loved the characters. I read them from when I was a kid. Like Perry, the writer was among a second generation of Archie devotees that discovered the now iconic characters, Archie, Jughead, Betty, Veronica, and Reggie, as well as spin-off headliners like Josie and the Pussycats and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, over a quarter-century after they first debuted. In 1941, a few years after rival publisher DC Comics had launched the superhero genre with Superman, MLJ Comics had been riding that pop culture wave with their own powered-up characters, including the patriotic, pre-Captain America hero The Shield. But publisher John L. Goldwater was looking for a new comic book genre that would feel fresh yet familiar. Hoping to capitalize on the popularity of the wholesome, funny, relatable teen antics of MGM's Andy Hardy screen franchise, starring a young Mickey Rooney, he gave over a 6-page portion of the 22nd issue of an established title, Pep Comics, to the earliest incarnation of the Archie gang. Though not even mentioned on the cover of its debut issue, the Archie feature, originally written by Vic Bloom and drawn by Bob Montana, was quickly established as the hottest, and much imitated, new genre in comics. So popular that within a few years MLJ formally changed the book's name to Archie Comics, and Archie himself appeared on every cover from 1944 onward. Over the decades, circulation soared to nearly 300,000 copies, and Archie Mania was born. Several of the ever-expanding Archieverse characters headlined their own solo series. Dan DeCarlo, who moonlighted drawing sultry pin-up girls for pulp magazines, became the definitive Archie artist and developed the signature look of the comic. The Archies, a prefabricated pop group of anonymous studio musicians, packaged as Archie's Garage Band, scored an enduringly popular hit song in 1969 with Sugar. Past issues were collected in conveniently miniature digests. Progressive new minority characters were introduced into white bread Riverdale, and the characters became widely commercialized, appearing on TV shirts, lunchboxes, Saturday morning cartoons and a hit primetime sitcom starring Melissa Joan Hart as Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Although the Archie line's mainstream appeal would gradually wane to cult status among comics fans in the 1990s and 2000s, the characters would endure as iconic figures to multiple generations of readers. Through it all, though the hairstyles, hemlines, hot rods, and hijinks evolved, the Archie stories rarely wavered from their core conceit, the misadventures of an average American high schooler pursued by a pair of beautiful, competitive girls, constantly vexed by his rivals and consoled with good humor by his offbeat, free-thinking best friend. By 2010, more opportunities were arising to tap the ongoing goodwill toward the Riverdale mythos. I love the characters. I'd grown up reading the characters. I always kind of went back to the characters, says Agirsak Asa. I always wanted to write them, even when I started writing for Marvel Comics. I was exclusive to them for years. And in fact, I broke my exclusivity with Marvel because I had a chance to write an Archie comic, Archie Meets Glee, which was the first thing that I did for Archie, and that was a dream come true. Even as he was bringing the characters slightly outside of their traditional comfort zones, it was clear that Agirsak Asa was simpatico with the essence of the Archie gang, and he quickly assumed greater custodianship of the characters, eventually being named Chief Creative Officer of Archie Comics, overseeing a critically and commercially successful relaunch of the core titles by top-tier comics creators. At the same time, he began shopping new and left-of-center takes on the properties to Hollywood. I really want to help bring these characters to life in a way that's never really happened successfully, he says, explaining how he promised publisher John Goldwater, the son of the original Archie Comics head, that they'd have to create a slow build of heat on the publishing side before turning Hollywood's head. Though there's always sort of heat on Archie, he adds. When they make a move and they get tons of press. I know that my friends at DC and Marvel were always like, why do you get so much ink? People love the characters. Afterlife with Archie, a surprise sensation in the comics world, demonstrated that after 3/4 of a century that the tried-and-true Archie format had more malleability than expected. We were really nervous about putting the Archie characters in quite a hardcore horror story with a lot of gore and violence and some pretty wild ideas, says Agirsak Asa. But we found out two things. One is that the characters could withstand that kind of cauldron of stuff, and two, the fans loved it. The fans loved seeing the characters they loved in different situations, and they were emotionally invested in what happened to the characters. They were sad when characters were eaten by zombies. It of course has a little bit informed Riverdale, says the writer, who teamed with executive producer Greg Berlanti, no stranger to successful comic-to-TV adaptations thanks to his success with DC Comics and the CW's interconnected superhero series, Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl, and DC's Legends of Tomorrow, to infuse a similarly shadowy sensibility into the television take. When we start pushing at the boundaries, I think people get nervous, but I think when you see it, you see that it's done with integrity and care and comes from a deep abiding love of these characters, Agirsak Asa says. No one wants to protect them more than I do. But you do have to evolve them, and you do have to push boundaries, and you do have to be more than just a story with a joke at the end.